Africans really face what to do with elections in a condition of COVID-19 and the many restrictions that are in place that have an implication on the freeness and fairness of that election. In fact, I'm ready to take you now to eNCA's Silindelo Masikane, who was at that media briefing by the IEC, and she joins me now for an update on that situation. And Sli, the IEC, I was just talking to Terry Tselane now about how much of a conundrum they have. They have to continue to plan as if the date of the 27th of October is cast in stone, even though they are at the forefront right now of ensuring that the election doesn't proceed on the 27th of October.
Certainly, I think it's something our constitutional democracy is having to contend with. It's the first time in our democracy where we are faced with the postponement of elections, and that is, of course, due to the fact that we are in the midst of the third wave, we are in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, and of course this has resulted in some issues when it comes to ensuring that our country can conduct free and fair elections. And following that inquiry by the former Deputy Chief Justice Moseneke, the inquiry of course concluded that the elections simply just cannot take place on the 27th of October. But of course, following a consultation with the COCTA Minister, there was an agreement that there was nothing in law stopping the Minister from actually proclaiming that date, and that is just to also be able to allow the IEC to start those legal processes in order to try and postpone the elections due to the fact that they cannot be held freely or fairly. But the proclamation, of course, then resulted in the fact that the voters' roll has officially been closed. Let's just take a listen to how many voters exactly we have as it stands.
The current voters' roll stands at 25.7 million registered voters. Since the introduction of electronic registration, there has been 17,964 successful registration. Proclamation of the election date also opens the candidate nomination process, and this window will conclude on the 23rd of August 2021 at 1700 hours. Registered political parties and independent candidates intending to contest on the 2021 municipal elections must submit their list of candidates and nomination documents via the following channels. First, using the Electoral Commission's online candidate nomination system, and secondly, delivered by hand to the offices of local representative of the Commission in the intended municipality of contest.
I tell you what, Sli, as someone who keeps a keen watch on processes at the Constitutional Court, I can't wait to hear how exactly they're going to navigate this one, because I do believe that it is the conundrum to trump all conundrums that they faced. Well, I suppose that's hyperbole on my side, because they did have to deal with such issues as the death penalty previously and issues to do with termination of pregnancy. But it ranks really highly in terms of conundrums that they've faced. We got to hear today, didn't we, Sli, what the outlines are of the order that the IEC will be seeking from the learned judges of the Constitutional Court?
Certainly so, and like you've mentioned, I mean, this court case, I think, will be setting what the CEO of the IEC was calling the jurisprudence of what we can expect in future elections, especially those that will be clouded by the fact that there's a possibility of an outbreak like the coronavirus pandemic, and also just, you know, setting a precedence on how we can be able to deal with these matters, because so far the law and the Constitution is actually silent on it. And so, of course, there was an outline in terms of the relief that is being sought, and of course it is to set aside the proclamation of the 27th of October as the date for the local government elections, as well as seeking a relief that the elections should take place by no later than the end of February, rather, 2022. Let's take a listen.
The Commission has taken note of yesterday's proclamation of the 2021 local government elections by the Honorable Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. The proclamation follows legally sanctioned consultation processes between the Minister and the Commission. We appreciate the constitutional and statutory obligation of the Honorable Minister to proclaim the election date in the context where there is currently no court order on the deferment of the municipal elections. The proclamation triggers the requirement for the Commission to publish an election timetable. The Commission will undertake the activities which must be performed in terms of the timetables until a competent court orders differently.
Silindelo Masikane, thank you for that, reporting for us there from the Elections House in Centurion. That is eNCA Silindelo Masikane there with an update on that briefing. What an interesting turn of events where you have a proclamation that is issued by the minister with the sole intention of triggering a legal process to actually have that proclamation and its implications set aside by a court. Very rarely do you ever see that, someone taking an action with the intention of triggering a court process to set that decision aside.